I go messing with the camera. Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh. Wait, does it start before us? Look, there's like chat. I don't even know. Oh my gosh. So we are at least a minute late and just getting reset up because we're not on the couch tonight, and Sister Witch Jolene is not here with us tonight. It is Kat and I ready to go over week 6 and week 7 questions from week 6 was altars, and week 7, which was just this past Monday, was the magical properties of everyday items. And it was more of the theory side of it. So, you know, after we do the meetups, we get to go back and read through the chat questions. And because when we're doing the actual meetup, it's very hard for us to try to read through any questions. We're presenting the lesson, and then we have to kind of go back and see everything. So during the last week and a half, as we've been getting ready for this, going through week 6 and week 7's questions, we're like, wow, there's a lot going on that we don't ever get to see until the meeting actually stops. So number one, I just want to thank you guys for participating in the chat when the meeting is live. So we do this via Zoom, and just all the side conversations that you guys do with each other. It's amazing to look back and see all the connections that are being made, all the little things that are going on. And it's all happening without us, which is exactly what we wanted. Yeah. And if you want to talk about your connection surprise, you know, at any time, you definitely can.
My connection surprise?
Yes. Yeah. The thing. So we'll announce that in our regular meetup, where if Kat wants that posted live or not, we might have to cut it out. But she's working on some little community surprises that are going to be awesome. And it is going to be sort of to a select group of people that we can test stuff with. This is just like Witch School, which was supposed to go live in January, and all hell broke loose, and we haven't got there yet. But
are you talking about Solitary Witch Society?
I am, yes. Okay. Just when we're ready.
Well, coming soon
to a web browser.
Coming soon in an announcement is going to be a website called Solitary Witch Society. And the idea behind that was a place where we can actually all get together and connect and chat and post and things. So we do that in different ways. We do it on Meetup, not really conducive to like making connections. We do it on YouTube, or I'm sorry, not YouTube, but Facebook on our 2 Facebook pages.
Yep.
But the idea behind Solitary Witch Society was really to build a community. And so I have the site live, but I'm just in the testing phase right now. I want to make sure everything's working before I invite all of the witches to come in. So
because we have like 2,100 witches on Meetup, which is mind blowing. But
so, I mean, if you really wanted to, for anybody who's like, I think probably Tracy could go out there, and Tracy would be interested. Yeah. I'm not Jacqueline. You know, you can. The site is live. You can go look at it, and if you want to register, go ahead.
It is, but we're letting it went live like today at 3 p.m. So it is a brand new thing that we're working through. But we knew that there would be sort of a small group on here, and we're totally okay with that. You guys know how we like to release things in small increments and not have like.
I'd like to have some people register and just do some things on it and make sure everything's working the way that it should, work out any kinks before I announce it to everybody, and hopefully get a lot of people on there. You know, the goal that I had in mind when I came up with the idea was, of course, about connecting witches all over the country, so they can find each other.
It's a platform for witches.
Yeah, so that if you're in Boston, say, and there's other witches in Boston, you can meet each other and perhaps get together and, you know, commune and build friendships. So that's
have a sister witch.
And then ultimately, my ultimate goal, of course, is to have retreats around the country in different places, like maybe Sedona. Or Salem, or even here in Florida, but retreats. So that's a little ways off in the future. But to
future goals.
That's the long-term goal of it. So anyway, so that is my happy news. I've been on vacation this week, and that's what I've done is work on that website.
I think it looks dream for a little while.
I think it
The link, we would look very weird trying to type it in, but the link is www.solitarywitchsociety.com. And we have it right now to where you register and you get like the email confirmation, all of that, and then
I just changed it.
You just changed it?
I just changed
okay.
it, yeah.
Because we had it set up to where once you register,
you had to get approved.
Administrator had to approve it because we didn't want to be spam botted by whoever.
Yeah.
But since I think we kind of knew we might open it up tonight to some people, so we're like, let's squash that process.
I think we're excited to get it
just
going.
Try.
It's been a dream for about a year and a half for me.
Yeah.
I bought the domain name probably 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of sat there, and I finally got off my,
derriere. You got off the derriere.
I was like, I want to launch this thing. It's time. The energy around this time of year really speaks to this type of activity. Growth and expansion.
Yeah.
And sort of owning your shit, if you will. Owning your stuff and taking control. And so anyway, okay. So that's a little bit about a new. Something new for you guys to hopefully connect on. And anyway, feel free to check it out. Feel free to let me know.
The email, is there like a thing on the link where they can email you right away, or should we give them the other email address? The Seven Green Sisters.
No, you can email. No,
straight from that. The
website is solitarywitchsociety.com. So you probably have to type in www because it's brand new. So Google hasn't indexed it yet. Yeah. And I don't know if we can type something in here. If I can put that in
we
there.
We can. Yeah. You just look.
So Jenny, you just signed up. Oh, awesome.
Jenny, thank you. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if I can type in here like this. TARY.
You would be like the third then, because she signed up her personal, then I signed up my personal, and now you would be the third witch to sign up, which is really fun. CIETY.com.
Yeah. Okay, so there's the website, and once you're signed up, then you go in and create your profile. There's a couple questions you can ask. You can upload pictures, and then you can start posting. So the whole idea behind it is for us to get on there and start having conversations. There's also a live chat so that members can chat among members, which is something that when we met 2 years ago with one of our first in-person groups, and I asked them, what would you like to see? And it's like the ability to be able to chat with other witches, make it easy. Like we need an app is what they said. Well, I don't have an app, but I do have a website now and you can chat on there. So hope to see you there. And I will definitely be welcoming you and interacting with you, any of you who've signed up. And looking forward to seeing what you write in your profile as a little introduction, and looking forward to any questions or posts, because you can go out there and post something. You can create your own post. So it's exciting. It's literally like so brand new. It's only like it's such a baby.
It's an infant. It's not a zygote technically, but it could be. So one of the reasons that I really like this idea, you guys, is you probably have heard me say before, like, Facebook is really tough for me. I kind of don't like it. It's just...
She's not a Facebook fan.
Never have been. I'm definitely on there for the meetup group and everything, but it's not my favorite place to try to post personal information, because I believe that eventually that's all viewable to everybody. I don't think there's any true privacy on there, whereas this isn't a website that we own, so there is no link to you that... If you are in the broom closet and you don't want your friends or family to know things, or you just don't want to put your business out to other people like that, like that are not in your spiritual circle, then you don't have to. But Facebook, I feel like it makes everything so, it's always like getting ready to leak all your stuff. And I never liked that feeling.
Not everybody likes Facebook.
I'm not a true fan. I'm not a fan.
Not everybody.
I use it a little, but I'm not a fan.
It's just easy. And
so that's why we created a website. That's why Kat worked so hard to consider and build a website and bought the domain, all that stuff, so that we could find a true corner of the internet that's just for us, trusted. We're not selling anybody's information. There's not going to be spamming or ads or whatever.
Nope.
It's just for us. It's our own little...
The other problem with Facebook is that we don't own it. So Facebook owns it. And if they change an algorithm, and then we start losing people and we can't connect with them.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true. It's owned by
defeats,
somebody else. Yeah.
yeah, it defeats the purpose of building that community. So I'm excited to see
I
where
am
we are
too.
with Solitary Witch Society one
It's
year
very
from
exciting.
today.
Yes.
What is the date? April 20th?
420.
420. That should be easy to remember.
420.
Well, there you go, Jenny.
Yeah.
Jenny doesn't do social media.
Yeah. So see, exactly.
There's lots of people that feel that way about it,
Yes.
and I don't blame you.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's really been our only avenue up to we had to build a website, so
Yeah.
that was
To
the
get
deal,
what
so.
we wanted, which was like security and closed offness and like confident. Or I was thinking confidence, but another word should be coming to
Privacy.
mind. Privacy.
Well,
That's
I
it.
mean, we
Confidence and
have
privacy.
our own thing. So your post will be private. You can make your profile private. But again, the idea is that you'll be able to connect with witches near you.
Yeah,
And
we're hoping to build a big community of big cities, and so that's all down the road because we don't know where we're gonna get bigger groups. But I mean, the major cities are probably gonna have like multiple people signing up, and then you guys can sort of see if there's a fit.
Yeah.
Not all witches fit together. I'm here to tell you that. We can all be so very different, and we love that about ourselves, the Solitary Witch Society. Solitary is coming together to practice, chat, share, exchange, all that good stuff.
And just because it says solitary doesn't mean that other witches, like if you're Wiccan, you can certainly join. I don't have a problem with that.
Even if you don't call yourself a witch and you're just like pagan or spiritual, same thing.
Spiritual.
Yeah.
But it's all
we
for
kind
us,
of
guys.
don't discriminate unless you're being a total. Then we might discriminate.
Well, read the site rules. It says, please be nice. Rudeness will not be tolerated. So nobody gets to be mean.
No meanness.
No meanness. We're here to grow. So that's the
Yes.
other thing about it. You know, learn, connect. What did I write? Connect, learn, grow, heal.
Connect, learn, grow, heal.
Mhm.
Yes. The mottos.
All right.
Okay.
So we should probably get busy.
Yes, we'll get on to so for week 6, this was the altars lesson, and we didn't have a ton of questions. We didn't have a ton of discussion over it, but it really did turn into understanding that for each person, you're going to be attracted to things for you, and you may remember items for you that has like a one-word association, like say rose quartz just means love for you and nothing else. That is 100% fine. As we start discussing the properties, which comes in week 7 and 8, it's just really important to know that you get to decide what something represents for you. Even if it has, and it usually does, have 3, 4, 5, 6 meanings, you get to decide when you place something or gather something that it has a distinct meaning for you, and you don't have to use all 5 of them. So that was something that was pretty big in the chat where everybody was going back and forth about, what they use things for, why they collect it, what it means to them. And I loved the personal interaction, and nobody was ever like, you're wrong, I'm right, because that's not what we're here for. It's just exploring how one item can have many different properties or faces or attributes that we assign to it, that we acknowledge within it. So that's like the first thing. Next, because it was an altars course, I'm going to take this one and then we're just going to like rotate after that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. The week before was Witch's Box. It was actually like a couple weeks before. But a Witch's Box is where we would keep our tools and things, and that's usually out of sight. It can be in a drawer, but altars really work the same way. You can keep your altar stuff in a box until you're ready to use it. An altar can be temporary, permanent. It can be made of things you collect that you leave there. Like, there is no true definition, right? Seasonal, which I love. I always did one for the holidays. There's not really any necessary rules unless you do follow a tradition, which was stated by many of our members within the chat. So I love that. Thank you guys so much for helping other people as we're discussing things and you guys are answering questions. Lovely. Love, love, love it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
We appreciate all your help while we're like presenting a lesson and you're answering questions through the chat. That's connection and community right there. So we really appreciate you guys for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You're up next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just one right after the other. They're just single line items.
Okay. So which one did you do? This one? The first one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, so items on your altar. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah.
So every item has at least 2 meanings. So be aware.
Huh?
I
I kind of said that too.
Okay.
You guys know
all
I,
right.
I jump around.
Oh, okay. So then I'll go to the next
Yes.
question or comment that came up. It's
Okay.
like, how do you keep your cats off your altar?
That was a whole thing.
Um,
Cats, dogs, kids, husbands,
yeah,
wives,
yeah.
girlfriends.
So what we using? Oh, I don't know. I don't know that we have an answer for how to
Well,
keep
there
it.
was I guess some of the things that came up was like double-sided tape. And
Oh,
there's
that's
like
right.
yeah, some people said tin foil. So if you're leaving your altar out and it's possibly being disturbed by things, people, living things,
Animals.
animals. I was thinking
Your
children
babies.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
children too. Yeah.
Because when my son was little, I didn't have anything really out that was significant. I kept it all sort of away because small pieces, kids, stuff in their mouth, I just don't want to risk it. Just keeping it somewhere where you know that it's safe, and altars don't always have to be out. So I think that was really the goal of it was if you can put it up high on a shelf, if you can, get it away from the animals or the kids or whoever might be touching it, and then also using elements that, because this led into having people see that you have altars somewhere in your house. Okay, so when you choose your stuff, you can choose things that have meaning for you that other people are like, why do you have a bunch of sticks and leaves here? And be like, oh, it's just random, interesting earth stuff I picked up, as we kind of step out of the broom closet, but kind of stay in it with one foot. It's making something that's meaningful for you, making those connections, and then keeping it safe keeping it out of reach, I would say, by whatever means you can. Oh, I know what I mentioned. There's this stitch tape that is extremely strong. So if you have crystals that are heavy, this double-sided stitch tape is amazing. Like it is, now it would probably mess up your surface. So be careful of that. So I would get like a tray and make it stick on there. But you could design something that would stay, that with a good amount of force would eventually peel up. But like a cat, a kid, they're not going to be able to just go rip it off there. Like it's very strong double-sided stitch tape. That was one of my go-tos.
I think one of the things I thought about was if you had a cabinet, like a china cabinet type of deal, where you could close the doors on it, but it had glass so that you could see it. That would be another way to
maybe even a lock and
to keep not only pets and kids, but also dust, so keep everything clean. So it doesn't have to be, an altar doesn't have to be like sitting out in the open. It can be kind of tucked away, in a corner.
Yes.
I've seen so many of them in a windowsill. I mean, it can be in just so many places.
Yeah.
But really, you're only inhibited by your imagination in terms of an altar, because there are no rules. Again, unless you're following like the Wiccan tradition. Yes.
Well, I wrote this up here but didn't say it. One of the things that I think about witchcraft, think craft, the word, your imagination is everything in this. So creativity is the name of the game. This is like creativity, witchcraft, like just whatever it is that you can do to make it yours, make it personal, keep it out of reach of things. Yeah, just
make it what you want. Significance to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It can be anywhere in your house.
All right. So then we had a question about using mushrooms or weed to help you with experiences.
Yes. This was from somebody who wondered what our opinion was about that. And I guess there's probably supposed to be some kind of disclaimer, like, don't do anything without consulting a doctor first, and this could not be good for your health or whatever. If you choose to indulge in anything, including alcohol, whatever it is, of age, not hurting people, we have no judgments against that. And I think the thing that we really said was a lot of us are open to experimenting with something that does open up your third eye or your crown chakra, but in a very safe, structured, somebody who knows what they're doing environment. That's more our take on it. The world's your oyster, so try the things that you want to try. I would recommend being safe and having somebody that you trust around you.
I know. I did read somebody. I was reading something. This has been quite a while ago, and it might have been Raven Silver. Is it Raven Silverwolf? Where she talks about, like, it might have been her, but I don't know if I'm giving the credit to the right author. I read it. Silver Ravenwolf.
She had all the names.
Raven Silverwolf.
Yep, Raven Silverwolf is.
She's got a big book, Solitary Witch books, about this thick, that I bought, and I know. So if it wasn't her, it was somebody else who does a lot of books. And I read about, like, being basically her suggestion was that you are in your natural state and not inebriated in any way, because it can screw with your connection with spirit.
Mhm.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. If it doesn't for you, if you can connect when you're still a little, you have a glass of wine or something. I think a glass of wine is nice, or a drink to just kind of relax,
Yeah.
or a gummy or whatever.
I think it definitely depends on your life experiences, and do you have anxiety, ADHD? Are you living with other stuff? Because sometimes these, I hate to call alcohol a medication, but some of these things that we introduce into our bodies relieves the nerves and does open up for flow with some of our stuff. Now, we have to acknowledge that there's probably a problem there if we can't get there on our own. Fine, whatever. You don't use it, it doesn't matter. But when you use it, if it's something that aids you in reaching that deeper level, I mean, I'm all for it.
It's kind of like
I don't mind it.
meditation, like,
Yeah, I don't mind having a drink before I read palms or do tarot. Am I going to get shit-faced? No, because that would just be sloppy for everybody. But if you have a drink, if that's something that doesn't affect you, that can really make you feel more like relaxed, or, less of the thinking and inhibition. No, what is it?
Inhibition. Yeah.
Inhibition.
Yeah.
You choose that.
Yep.
So
be safe, as
be safe.
Lavender Pages says.
Yep.
Be safe. Know what's going on.
Do your research.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
so
to
that
expect.
wraps up the week 6.
Yeah, week 6 was super easy. I mean, altars are like whatever you want to do.
I do think about the comment that we had on the channel about altars and shrines, and I wonder if we want to.
Oh yeah, sure.
I wonder if we want to talk
about that. Yeah, this was
that.
from the YouTube channel.
So
it didn't happen on the meeting.
Yeah, it didn't happen in the meeting, but after we posted the video about it, we got a comment about from somebody about altars and shrines, and we started having a discussion about that today.
It was a good comment.
So I went back to, so I was raised Catholic, and I can remember being in church, and the priest had an altar, and he was preparing the sacrament to give the communion to everyone. But then at the back of the church, so that was literally an altar. His back was to us. If anybody's Catholic, you know what I'm talking about. The priest stands up there. He does his blessings. He's got the wine. He's got the wafers that he's going to give communion to the patron, or to the, whatever you call the church peoples. I forget.
The devotees?
the members,
Pilgrims?
the church members. All the other Catholics. But at the back of the church, I always remember walking in, and at the back of the church, there would be like a whole like shrine set up of candles. So like all these candles in a row, and you would go in and light a candle and say a prayer for somebody that you were either praying for, that they got better, maybe somebody had passed away. And so when the question came up about altars or shrines, the difference in, are they the same? Parishioners, thank you, Tracy. Altars and shrines, I think they can be the same thing, but a shrine is, what did we decide? That
shrines are towards like deities and things outside of yourself, where altars, it's a personal exchange of something. So like what the priest was doing with the parishioners was a personal exchange at that altar. It was a very individual thing. Where when Kat talks about the shrine kind of candle area that she went to, this was for anybody to approach, for anybody to come and do their blessing, their saying, their prayer. And so this was more of an open group type of environment. It wasn't personal. It was very
it was for a group versus an altar being for an individual.
Personal thing.
Yeah.
So this is what we sort of came to today in talking about the two things. Is when you go to a shrine is for a deity or something that you're praying towards or whatever. And it's where lots of people do the same thing, right? The shrine is there because it's dedicated to something that everybody wants to come and say something to. Where when you go to an altar, each little thing is really personal. Like everybody's not going to have the same interaction, thought, or prayer within that thing.
And nobody's probably going to come to your altar and do things like you're going to be at your altar. Whereas a shrine, lots of people would visit it.
Yeah. So like that priest is doing the one-on-one exchange with the peoples. Yeah.
Well, he's doing that. He's actually like preparing the sacrament to give it to everybody. That's what he's doing when his back.
So his personal work. Oh, so he's like giving people the stuff?
No, what he does is, in my recollection, if there's any Catholics in here, you can feel free to correct me, because it has been a very long time.
I don't think there's
I mean, I think I was.
Catholics here, but recovering Catholics.
I think the last time I was in a Catholic church was I was 17, but as a kid I was there. But the priest, when he would prepare to do the communion, when people would come up and the body and blood of Jesus Christ, and you stick out your tongue and you get a wafer. Before he did that part of the ceremony, his back was to the church. He had things spread out on an altar, and whatever he was saying, he was probably reciting. I know he had his book open, the Bible open, probably in some pages. I don't know exactly what he was doing because we weren't privy to it as the parishioners, but you could see that he was up there and he was doing his thing with the things that he had on his altar, and then he turned around and shared those. So I think he was blessing
it's so witchy, isn't it? If you think about this whole thing, exchange the Bible for a grimoire or book of shadows. Yes. Change the name from God or Jesus to the goddess or whatever deity, and you're taking in, a blessing from the universe, from your deity, and it's put him in a cloak and boom, he's a witch. Like, I'm just saying. Okay.
Alrighty.
Moving on to week 7
and the magical properties of everyday items. Okay, so let's see. We talked about sage and Palo Santo. So sage removes all energies. What's the opinions on that?
So this was brought up in the chat that we didn't get to see during the meetup, which people said that they don't use sage because they believed that it took away both positive and negative energies. And I was like, what was left then? I don't understand that. I don't know. This is somebody else's thing. This is what they do, and they use Palo Santo because it only removes negativity. I put down opinion because that's exactly what this is. As people build their practices, what they truly start to believe in and feel is what they go with. And there is no wrong or right. There's just things that we do, you do, other people do that other people don't do. Like, it's not a right and wrong thing. It's just the practice that you build for yourself. I had never heard that before. I'd never heard that sage removes all energies.
And I don't even, I would, for me, I don't think that, because when we use sage to cleanse, when we're saging ourselves in our room and stuff, we're saying something like, about negative energy, go back to where you came from,
only light and love remain.
Exactly.
So we have these sayings that we think that when we sage, the smoke is, clearing out all the negativity and taking it up and out. And some people, when they do this, they open windows and, physically let it shoo out and stuff. So it is really just about what you believe and how you think about it and whatever works for you. Whatever that strong sense that you get, like, this is my way. Good. Do that. Nobody needs to tell you whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah. And I guess the thing to remember here is if you believe that the sage is doing something, it's actually the witch that's doing it. So it's your thoughts that you're putting out there. The sage smoke is a cleansing. We know this, or we believe this. I think it's pretty common.
It's a pretty science-wise.
It's pretty common belief.
Yeah.
Science-wise.
Yeah. Science that smoke, fires, it's a cleanser, right? It takes out, it neutralizes, it removes. So that's how I think of smoke of all kinds, even candles burning in the air, that it cleanses, it releases the flame that destroys whatever negative energy, germs, whatever's going on.
Okay, so science and magic go hand in hand.
This was a comment. I just loved it because I'm always looking for ways to help make the connection between science, because you can see our practices in real science experiments that prove that we're all energy, that vibrations are everything.
What about the videos that you just showed me?
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I want to be able to post those.
I
know. I don't know how to do that.
It's the coolest thing. So it was it's hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking one with the
vibration,
with the fire, with the flame.
Oh, the flame. So the music notes.
The music notes. So there was one video where there was like a burner type of thing, a long burner, like really long, with all these little, how burners are on a stove, and all the little flames were coming out of it. So it was probably 50. It was long probably tube with fire, with little holes. So there's all these little flames coming up, and a guy was at one end of the tube of fire, and he starts playing a trumpet. Mm-hmm. And as he plays it, you watch the flames change and dance.
They look like when you're listening to music or something and you see all
note.
the things.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it did as he played each note. It was so wild.
So it, it just demonstrated how that vibration of that instrument
manipulates or moves energy.
That energy.
Yeah,
and
it
was really beautiful. We're going to find a way to share that video because you found it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have 2 of them marked for that, but
we're going to figure out how to share it or put a link somewhere. Maybe we can find a link or share the name of it or something so you can find it if you're on Instagram.
Well, when manifestation became a huge thing and like mind control and all of that in my world, when I learned about that in the early 2000s, I was like, well, that's basically spells. So I started to learn how science was proving, brainwaves, manifestation, what you think about, you bring about, all of that. And I was like, that is spell work. That's exactly what we're doing. Like, this is the science behind why spells can work. And it's just amazing. So when we talk about science and magic going hand in hand, yes, science and magic go very much hand in hand. And I love that we can like see it in the real world.
Yes.
Yeah. So the origin of your materials that you use for your workings, there was some stuff brought up about where things come from, what they're made of, what's better as far as sources. I think that takes people a while once they get into the journey to understand that a candle is, paraffin wax maybe, and then you can do a beeswax candle, you can do a soy candle, and there's all these different energies that people believe that they go along with that. So a vegan would not use a beeswax candle because that's taken from bees and they don't use any animal products. And then another witch might be like, well, I'm a Dollar Tree witch and I'm going to use the cheapest materials possible to get the result that I want, and that's fine. They use a candle from wherever. And so there was kind of a discussion about why you shouldn't use stuff, why you should, what you should go for, and sort of the energy around those things. And as we talk about the energy, because week 7 was about how everything does retain an energy, holds it, passes it, how things are made. I mean, I think we all believe that in our circle, that as things are made, if they're made really cheap, really poorly, possibly by child labor or something, it's like, I would rather not have that item, even if it's less expensive, than if you had something that was made by somebody who handcrafted it and spent time with it, and it did cost, say, even 3 times more, but you're like, this is a product that was built using the values that I believe. And that's really what you get into as you look into where you buy your crystals from. Even Palo Santo, it has a questionable ethical, even sage, where sage is gathered
white
from,
sage,
where it's grown at, are they farming it, are they taking it from the wild, should it be, this goes even further too, it's a Native American practice that we should not be, there's a word for that, appropriating. So all the things that go into this is us, when you're asking those questions, when people are having those discussions, you are so on track for building the practice that is really meaningful for you. You're no longer just following the mainstream. You're asking those hard questions of, do I believe in this? Do I believe I should use this? Even though it's really popular, like, do I think that that's ethical? Do I think that that's right? Is it something that I want to do with my practice? We're never going to tell you what's right or wrong for you. We're just going to say, as you research these things and you do find what's right or wrong for you, like, live your truth. But you also have to let other people live their truth and go through those levels, because they might be using the Dollar Tree candle now because it's what's effective, and later grow into that. So be sure not to take somebody's journey away from them by judging them too quickly. They need to learn to grow and go through the same things that you did if you went from one level to another as you researched where your items came from. It's awareness and kind of meeting people where they're at. Don't try to take them from beginner to know everything and feel really heavy about the practice. Like, the intro stuff should feel light and easy and not too hard, and then it grows into a more serious, responsible, ethical practice as you keep going with it. Yep. You learn those things. That was okay. I did the materials, and next is
energy, where we live.
Yeah, the energy of where we live. Yeah.
Near cemeteries.
Yeah. So there was a comment made about somebody living where there were a lot of battlefields, and what's the energy like there? What do you think about that? Because we've always kind of lived by cemeteries and stuff.
I love cemeteries.
I do too.
I think I love to read the headstones, and I think it's a place to revere. People that lived lives are resting, and eternity. But when you think about it, it's actually just their human body that's resting there because their soul is someplace else. But so I don't know, the energy around a cemetery or a battlefield. I think it's like, do you feel, if you're very much an intuitive, you may feel the energy from a place like that, like something strong. You may even feel something malevolent. Hopefully not. I know the girls thought our house was haunted when we were growing up. I say they thought, and they'll still claim to this day that it was haunted because it was an old house and it had been around, I don't know,
since before 1900.
No, it was built in 1940.
No, it was definitely a war shelter. Okay,
it was a bomb shelter. It was built
not a bomb, but it was a fort. It was an army fort.
Yeah.
So
we don't know that
from
sure.
like before 1900, you guys.
That's not how old it was.
The whole.
But the girls were just convinced that it was haunted. They said they saw things, heard things, and stuff like that. And I do admit there were places in the house was like,
you felt it.
I felt it.
See, she knows.
But I wouldn't say it was haunted, but I think
maybe haunted's the wrong word.
But I think those energies, you depending on where you are intuitively and picking up on energies, you might feel that. But I also think that we can respect that those are spirits that are no longer here and they're on the other side, and maybe they're trying to tell us something. If you're feeling the energy in a cemetery and trying to connect, that's how I see it. Well, how do you see it?
I always see it like, I don't truly believe spirits are stuck here, but I think that sometimes they are confused, or it's, they're like, I know I'm on the other side, but how do I get to where I'm going? And they still have so many questions, and they're like not listening to their guides, trying to bring them up to a different level to start getting them past their stuff. So I think that when you enter a space where people can feel stuck or confused and be like, I used to live here, what are you doing here, kind of thing. I go back and forth with this, you guys, because I've had the experiences where there was definitely stuff there. I've seen it, felt it, and then I don't truly believe that anything is like malevolent. I just think that it's so confused or so out of sorts that it doesn't know what it's doing technically. And we all, as spirits, getting stuck. And I only know this from, here's my source. James Van Praagh is who I've done courses with. He's the only medium that I really do stuff with. Royland Jackson would be the other one. And so I listen to what they say about spirits. So this is not all just my experience. This is from their research over the last 25 years. As far as what happens when spirits are working through their stuff and we encounter them. But I think that sometimes people who are intuitives, we shine a little brighter. Like they can tell that they can see us more than a human that's not super tuned into the other side, that maybe doesn't have clairaudience, clairsentience, like whatever it is. And so then they're like, hey, a shiny thing, like, let me go mess with that. What's happening there? And I think that's sometimes why I feel, see, hear, things. And I don't have all the answers. I can admit that. I'm just like, I know what I've been through. That's about it. So haunted is probably not the right word. My mom's right. Like we used to say haunted because we didn't have a better word for it way back then when we were like 14 and 15. But energy stuck, yes. People reliving or replaying memories for us. Maybe they weren't supposed to be scary, but when you're young and you don't know what the hell's going on, it felt scary. I was like, why? It felt scary. Okay. Moving from that.
Generational curse is real.
Yeah. This is an interesting topic happening in the chat. Curses in general, anything that is positive or negative, if you believe it, it is real then. That is my belief. Whatever it is you believe, it's real because it's your belief. You believe in it. So if you believe it, curses, hexes are real, then they will be for you, because what we think about, we bring about, right? You will create the reality of what's in your head, what you're thinking about, what you believe to be true. For myself, no. I do believe in generational healing that has to be done, like things,
trauma that's passed.
Yeah, generational traumas that we are trying to undo or heal, but I wouldn't call it a curse. I would call it opportunities. And that's just how I view it, as an opportunity for people to acknowledge, grow, change, and then bring other family members up with them.
And I do think that we pass things along from one generation to the next
I do think that too.
That are traumas, because until you start to heal those, until you address them and heal them, you're going to repeat the behaviors and the patterns of the previous generations. And so it's a cycle that's going to continue until somebody decides to do the work, the shadow work,
Mhm.
the self-reflection,
aware,
the become aware of the types of things that are the negative things that are going on, and I don't want to say stop them, but become aware of them so that they can
Work on
work on them and
You work
stop the
on it.
behaviors.
Yeah.
Because it's not really the curse, it's the behaviors that then impact all the people. So like if your dad was a drunk and now you're a drunk, or your mother was a
narcissist.
drug addict and now you're a drug addict. So those, you as a kid, you watch that growing up, right? You see those behaviors of the adults around you, and you can't help, it's almost like you can't help but repeat them until you become aware that that's what you're doing, and look back and realize that child that experienced that trauma of having that damaged parent didn't get what they needed as a child. And so then the behavior just sort of repeats itself until you can, like I said, address it, heal from it, and it's processed. And I think it's one of the reasons why, why people are coming to, I feel it's one of the reasons why people are coming to witchcraft, and to spirituality, because they are trying to heal, and religion is not giving them, it's not providing them what they need because of, well, and I'm not to say because of, but one of the reasons could be is because there's a lot of restrictions in religion, and a lot of,
there's acceptance without answers. That's what I came to find out in my faith journey of trying to figure out, is Christianity right for me, back when I was younger. There's a lot of just acceptance without answers that doesn't solve anything. And you're just like, okay, I accept what is, and I give it to Jesus. Not sure that is going to work for me. It didn't work for me. It can work for other people. Some people have that acceptance level. I don't. I have way too many questions. I want to figure shit out. So that was me.
That's kind of a big one, the generational stuff that gets passed along.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there is opportunity for us to change that if we want to, by becoming aware of it, and then working on the behaviors that perpetuate it. So
think about it in terms of acknowledgement, reflection, and then doing the healing work. That's kind of the way that it goes. First, you have to see it, then you have to reflect on it to understand it, and then you start doing the healing work where you're like, okay, now I know it, I named it, now here's how I work on it. All right.
Okay.
Tuning in to energy via the arts.
Oh my gosh, this is such a, well, we just talked about this, craft.
We did? Craft.
Witchcraft.
Yes,
we talked about witchcraft, right?
Crafting.
So this is, this is where you get an opportunity to express yourself, I believe anyway, in whatever outlets you have, painting, drawing, art, writing, just anything like that. So tuning into energy via the arts. I think that's what.
So it's also like when you're doing the stuff, you're actually raising your vibration. When you're doing like art, painting, when you're gardening,
when you're being creative,
it's sort of a type of meditation. If you look this up online, you can see lots of studies that prove it. But our brainwaves change when we're being creative, and we're really just in tune with what we're doing, and we're not really thinking about all the stressors and life problems. We're just like in this thing of being creative. It's a very beautiful place to be, and it raises your vibration. So that's tuning into the energy via the arts, whatever that is for you. Making music, listening to music, singing, painting, making jewelry.
Anything that that calms the monkey chatter, the
worry
goes
mind.
on. Yeah. Because I don't know, probably you guys can relate this. My mind never stops. It's always like, there's always
the monkey on the wheel.
Yeah, all the time. It's really hard to not do that. And I have to get into something. I have to get into some creative endeavor for me to I have to focus on something to stop all those thoughts and worries and whatever from going through my head, because otherwise it's just constant chatter. I think this is true for so many women, because we have so many things to do and life is really stressful. We're raising kids, we're taking care of households, we have husbands, we have parents, we have siblings, we're the peacekeepers, we're the caretakers, we're the nurses, we're all of these, we play all of these roles in the world, and it is a lot. And we bear a lot of the responsibility of bringing up the next generation and taking care of the before the generation before us, like parents and stuff. So I think if you're looking for a release from some of that, if you have any kind of artistic anything, and you just
Or if you don't,
want to
just
try
do
it.
it.
You just want to try it. I started when I moved here, I started making wreaths. I'd never done that before. I tried making jewelry. I went back to sewing, which was something that I had done years and years ago. When I was really young, I used to like to sew a lot, and then I got out of the habit of it. I used to make the kids costumes. The kids remind me all
And
the
clothes.
time. The
Every
costumes.
Halloween costume, lots of our clothes. She used to just sew that shit together. We'd go pick out fabric we like or what was on sale, and then she'd just start making stuff. So my sister and I were 5 years apart, but we had so many matching outfits. She was like my mini-me. It was so great. Oh man, one day we should post pictures of that.
But it's a really
so
great
good.
outlet, just any kind of creativity,
Yes.
creative thing. It's a really good outlet. So
Helps your brain. It helps your energy.
And can sort of help you get like in tune with yourself and out of your chaotic mind, if you will. If that's a thing. Okay, energy differences in stages of life. Maiden, mother, crone, male examples.
Yeah, so that was both. We in the chat, some people were talking about just loving where they're at in their crone journey, or nobody's really talked about maiden. Sometimes it's harder for us to come to this journey when we're really young, unless you felt it early. But definitely as we reach that mother or late motherhood into our crone stages, where you're just very wise. You've been through life and you're like, I can see through all the BS now, and I choose this. Because before I was influenced for this, but now I choose something different. Living the crone life, I think I've been a crone for a very long time. I do consider myself to be an old soul, so it came pretty naturally for me to just be in that later stage of, aged. We'll just put it that way. But acknowledging that you're in the stage and then living in that energy and really accepting it and loving it for as much as you can, even in the maiden stage when you're young and you don't know a lot and you're just experiencing everything's new. And I put after that a male example because then I thought, we have a lot of guys on our meetup. There's not like I don't even know what you would call 3 men of something, there's not something like that I know of in witchcraft. So I'm actually just going to send that out to the universe for something to come back to us that says, here's the 3 stages that a man might go through, because I don't know it.
I also think, what I feel about this energy of these differences, even though I'm chronologically in the crone stage, I sometimes feel like I'm in the maiden stage. And even the kids are like,
such a kid,
and it's not that it's not the immaturity, it's the lightheartedness of it. So I think you can experience those energies at different times in your life. And I do think they are.
It doesn't have to be age correlated.
Yeah. And I do hope that, that most of us can get back into that place where we're just, like
playful and spunky.
Yeah, exactly.
The new kid on the block.
And if you can't, maybe it's something to, to strive for, because, when you're a maiden, hopefully you were carefree and
having fun
and doing cartwheels and stuff like that. That's what I think of. So, okay. Magical associations of color. So we're just going to talk about a couple.
Yeah, I just put down 2 because we are going to go into this on Monday. But I wanted to give you guys an overview of some of the colors that we did talk about with actual little like groupings to make it maybe easier. So this would be something that would normally go into our grimoires or your book of shadows as your correspondence tables. And you guys know what I'm going to say, right? I say it all the time. Take it for what it means to you. Just because we say it or a book says it doesn't mean that has to be the meaning for you. Like red, we're getting ready to talk about the color red. And we're going to list like 9 words, but one of them may not resonate with you. And that's okay. You do not have to remember that red is all 9 of these words. It just needs to have a meaning for you right now. And it can always change, grow, evolve. That's part of the witchcraft journey. Tank.
We forgot to put him in the bedroom.
Thank you. Come here.
So red. Jump. So here's.
Come here. You okay?
I'll read you the words that we put for red. So
and you see the double lines. I grouped them so that you could kind of see the association of where red gets its meaning from.
All right. So sexual love, lust, and passion. Is one like little grouping. Of red.
You can see where those relate, and that's part of the root chakra. So this is the lower hips and hoo-ha. Okay, this is where that energy is residing. So you can see that can lead the way for some things for those three words.
And if you think about what kind of roses do you get from men when they're courting you, typically they're red, so that's like significant. So we've associated that with it in our society that red is a color of love.
It's symbolic.
It's symbolic of love.
Yeah.
Another grouping would be fire, courage, and willpower.
Yeah.
So like those really strong, like
going into battle, going to war,
personal power,
power
words right there.
Yeah.
Fire, courage, willpower.
Yes.
And then life force, energy,
right,
strength, and anger. So
this relates for me like the blood that's in our veins. This is life force energy. Okay, blood in your dreams represents your life force. So that's how I always connect red with the life force energy of us, like souls living in the human body. The blood is the life force. When you think of strength, in order to grow muscles or do anything, blood has to flow to the area of the body, right? So with muscles, you got to have blood flow, like it pumps up. You have what's it called when you're like get ready to fight? I can't think of the word.
Flight?
Yeah, I was thinking of that, but everything rushes through the system. So your blood, oh my gosh, when you have like your blood's pumping.
Blood pressure?
I was thinking, that's not it. I don't know. There's a word I'm looking for, and it's escaping me. But when you're going into battle or you're getting ready to do something where you can have the, it's not always anger, but it's that rush. Adrenaline, a little bit. Adrenaline, that's a fluid. It's not blood, but same thing. It's going to go through your heart. It's going to pump up your blood. It's going to make you move fast, quick, not feel anything. It's how we get through some of our most stressful phases, is to just live off that adrenaline to survive. Your body shuts down all the other systems to let that blood flow really fast to keep you moving and alive. So then you have anger. When you feel angry, what happens? Like, do you get hot and like,
wait a minute, what's another word for anger? Blood boil. Making your blood boiling. Yes. Yeah, people use that expression. Yeah. You make my blood boil. That's another way to say I'm really angry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those, you can see how, thank you, Tracy and Jenny, for helping me with adrenaline. I think that's it. I don't know. It sounds right now. But those three would be grouped together because it's things that are physically happening to that red life blood source in your body that are pushing you along. So red could mean that as well.
Yes, and you're right, your face. So I think that the blood comes close to the surface.
Yeah.
The other thing I think about blood when and I guess it's not really blood, but when you get a wound and all this energy or whatever rushes to platelets that rush to heal it.
Yep.
Yeah, so
it's in your platelets are in your blood.
Okay. Orange. I'll let you do orange.
Oh, orange. Okay. So we were talking about orange the other night on the meetup, and I loved this because I knew that legal matters. This is the first one I'm bringing up because I found something cool, you guys. I knew legal matters was orange, and I never really understood why. So you know what I did? I did the numerology on the word legal matter and the word orange. And would you believe it that they equal the same number? They equal 33. Do you see that on the paper?
I do see that. Yeah, I was wondering what the numbers were.
Yeah. So, of course, I almost went down a rabbit hole doing all the words on the paper because I can't help myself. But in orange, we've got communication, success, and abundance. Those are kind of grouped into the same thing. And then legal matters. So when I think about legal stuff, there is a lot of communication back and forth, right? Written, spoken, courts. It's all about communicating the mishaps, the desires, the needs. So that's how I'm sort of grouping in legal matters, communication, and then success and abundance. Now, abundance comes in, you guys, because the orange, the actual fruit, in Asian cultures, I'm not going to name which ones, but the orange is a symbol of success. So orange trees, oranges on the table, it is definitely a symbol for success. I think it's because it looks like a representation of a gold coin. I don't know, I could be wrong. But this is where I start assigning my own associations on so that I can remember it better. So you have success and abundance, communication, and legal matter for success, for orange, the color. Then you also have creativity, fertility, and reproduction. So orange is the color of our sacral chakra, which is the reproductive organs. And you can see from that creativity, right? So creative, create, like the whole thing, like where does life begin?
Creation.
Right there. And then reproduction, of course, makes that. But then fertility, and fertility can mean many things. Like it can mean fertility in the sense of abundance and prosperity. Prosperity. I was going to say prosperousness. And so these words can all kind of go together as you see them looping, but that's orange. And that's the kind of stuff that we are going to get into on Monday. So we're just doing red and orange tonight because that's really all we have time for. Because the next thing is kind of heavy, and we're gonna go through it faster because it's a big topic, and we would need like a whole meetup to discuss it. But
what? Discuss
the mother of witchcraft.
Mother of witchcraft.
Yes. So we did.
This makes me really curious. I'm very curious about. I'm not sure how to say it. Hecate.
Okay, so I did look up. I always used to say Hecate, but online it can be Hecate. For English, Hecate. Okay. And then in the Greek, when Greeks say it, according to online, you guys, I don't know anybody who's Greek right now, it's Ekate. So there's no H, it's just Ekate. That is the
silent
way,
H.
That is the way that it's pronounced online. So in case you didn't know, I looked it up. I did the pronunciation on a couple different websites. They all said it the same way. So I'm like, all right, that's the way it is. But what's interesting about these three historical or mythological females, you've got Lilith, which is from the Jewish tradition, and I do believe she could be mentioned in the Jewish writings, like the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament, because that's the Hebrew Bible part of it. Like, I don't know the Bible stuff very well, you guys, I'm gonna admit that, but Lilith is there as the wife of Adam, the first wife of Adam, and who got outcasted, which is what I spoke about on Monday. Similar is the Greek goddess Hecate, who is mythology, right? So this is a mythology thing. It's not a historical person, but their stories as far as what happened to them, what they got put in charge of, are very similar. And then the last one, which is also Greek, is Circe. And Circe was a whole nother type of woman who disobeyed her father by marrying a dog and got cast to the sea, where he cut off her fingers, and that's how all of the ocean animals came to be. And I did bring 2 books to help you if you want to get into the history of these ladies. I don't have a reference for Lilith. She's all over the internet though, because in astrology, the black moon or dark moon is called the Lilith point or the Lilith moon. Like, all of that's mixed in. So these stories, they get entwined into everything, and there's all these representations of them. But I want you to know that they all stand for the same thing. It's a woman breaking free from the idea of what man wants her to be and becoming something else, and then they vilify her for not being in order, like because she's living out of order. So she becomes all these other things. And in the book, the Alphabet versus the Goddess, which we've mentioned many times, I brought my book tonight. The story that he tells through his research is that the reason that Lilith or Circe or Hecate was given that spot was because a woman's job was to procreate. Woman's job. No, that's not what I meant to say. A woman's gift was the fact that she could procreate and make life, and a man couldn't. And at one time, that was valued, respected, and honored. And when men realized that they could go without having an heir and cease to exist genetically or whatever, that their line would never live on, that became a problem. And they needed to control women in order to make sure that certain men's family lines live on, because they were deemed important men. So they had to figure out a way to fit women into a box to force them to procreate or to be dependent on a man so that male lines could carry on, because females could have babies with whoever they wanted. We weren't tied down to anybody. We could do what we wanted with the baby making stuff. Men realized that that was a big flaw for them. There's no guarantee that they live on. And so today, society, marriage, all the things, all the history of stuff that's happened. And all of that is explained, researched, talked about in this book.
Fascinating book, you guys. Highly recommend.
This is a guy who is not a witch or pagan or even Christian. He's a brain surgeon who was visiting ancient sites and decided.
Pull that up so people can see the whole book. So
he decided that.
The name of the author. There you go.
Leonard. Schlain. He decided that he wanted to know how all these goddess temples got converted into temples for men. He's like, how did the goddess get written out of history? And he set out to write books. He has other books also that I've not read. That's my favorite.
This is the book about Circe.
That's the mythology book. Super awesome, very interesting story, but it's basically how she defied her father, a god, and took control over other
Madeline
worlds.
Miller.
Love it. So that is really our meetup. But the whole thing with telling you guys about these 3 characters, do your research, find what feels right for you, and let that be your truth. Don't let anybody tell you what's right for you. Make up your own mind on it. Do as much research as you want to, and then believe what you want to. Like, just let that be. Because what I've learned in my 25 years of being a witch is that sometimes when you think things are settled and you're like, that's this, that's it, that's all it can be, new stuff comes to light. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I got to reevaluate that now because that wasn't around 15 years ago. I didn't have to make that decision. I didn't know about that. And stuff gets introduced. So believe what you want right now and be open to change in the future if something else comes to light for you. It's my best advice. Best advice.
All right.
And with that,
we're
finished.
We're going to call it a night. And
yes.
Thank you for staying with us for the hour that we've been here.
Yay.
We appreciate you and hope to see you Monday for week 8 of the Beginner Witch series. Where we're going to talk about magic ingredients of everyday items, part 2.
I love you keep saying ingredients.
What do I?
Magical properties. If you guys haven't seen the beginning of the Monday night YouTube, I left the bloopers in there for our starting because it was so. We did it like 5 times, and I left a couple of them in there because it was just so funny because we couldn't get it right. The 3 of us, we were like, "Who's saying the words?"
We don't. You would think we'd write it down on a piece of paper so we know what we were saying when we got online. But magical properties of everyday items.
That's right.
Part 2.
So on Monday, we'll be going through simple things in your house that you can attribute magical intention or properties with because they have associations with other stuff. And that's kind of the way witchcraft works. Yep. All right. We will see you guys Monday. Angelo, Jenny, Tracy.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming. Lavender Pages, so nice to have you. We will see all you guys on Monday.
Okay.
And if you want to laugh, please check out that video, the beginning. You just have to watch like 15 seconds. It's hilarious. I already showed Kat. I haven't showed Jolene yet. So I just think it's funny. But
it is funny.
We'll see you guys Monday.
Bye.
Bye.